Hey guys, it's Jackstown and welcome back to another video. So guys, March Madness is finally back. After a 2-year absence, boy, I really missed this tournament and I'm sure you guys are looking forward to it as much as I am, and it's just great to be back. It's great to be able to finally fill out a bracket after not being able to last year. This time of year is always so exciting, and filling out your own bracket, trying to predict every game of this crazy tournament is what makes this tournament so great, and trying to go up against other people, trying to prove to others why your opinions and your picks are better than theirs. Yeah, just all this subjective, opinionated picking of this crazy tournament that no one can predict is exactly what makes it so great. And before we get into the video, before I tell you all the games that I think, before I give you my predictions for every game, just letting you guys know, I created my own group for the ESPN Tournament Challenge. So if you guys want to join it, it's called Jackstown Official. You can see it on your screen here. Yeah, I created it. It's a public group. Anyone can join. There's no passcode required, or password, whatever you call it. And yeah, anyone can create up to 2 brackets. Whoever joins per user, you get up to 2 brackets. In case one of your brackets doesn't do well, you still get a second chance. Yeah, personally, I always create 2 brackets because I feel like just in case my bracket gets totally busted, I have a second one to fall back on. But then starting 3 brackets, I feel like it gets hard to keep track of my picks. So I think 2 is the perfect number for me. So I decided each person can create up to 2 brackets in this group. Yeah, I invite you all to join, and then maybe if you win the whole thing, I'll shout you out in one of my videos. Who knows? But yeah, guys, I invite you all to join and try to go up against me and go up against each other and see whose bracket will reign supreme by the end of this whole tournament. So yeah, without further ado, guys, here are my bracket picks for 2021 March Madness. All right, like I said in my previous video, which I made yesterday, I said just take my opinion with a grain of salt. I have no idea what's gonna happen. This tournament is great because it's so unpredictable. I have no clue. I tried to come up with a logical answer for who would win each game, and maybe a little biased as well, which is good. You know, sometimes you want to go with your instinct, go with your gut, go with who you like, and that takes you a long way sometimes, to be honest. And yeah, I do have some notes here that I kind of pre-planned out who would win each matchup, but you know, what do I know? So maybe if you're stuck and you may want some second opinion on whoever you think is going to win each game, here I am, but I invite disagreement. In fact, let me know in the comments where you disagree with me, where you agree with me. Let me know any opinion you have on this tournament in the comments below. I will probably read it because I love reading comments and I love all of you. All right, so without further ado, guys, I'm so excited. Let's do something that I normally love to do every year, but we haven't done for 2 years. Let's finally fill out our March Madness bracket for this season. Okay, we're gonna start off this bracket with the West region, like a lot of people start off with, and that is Gonzaga against the winner of Norfolk State and Appalachian State. Now, Gonzaga has probably the best offense in the entire country. They're absolutely terrific. They have not lost a game this year, and they're just so good. I don't even need to question this. They're definitely winning the first game. Okay. Oklahoma and Missouri. Now, the 8-9 matchups are seemingly always a toss-up, but especially this one, this is a big-time toss-up because I really don't know. Neither of these two teams are playing that well. They're both kind of trending down. Oklahoma beat a lot of good teams earlier on, and they played a lot better earlier in the season, but they haven't played too well recently. Missouri, same. They started off really well, but they haven't played well recently. Both these teams are trending down, and it was really difficult for me to pick. So what did I say in my notes here? Oh, yeah, this is like the closest thing to a 50-50, and I think Oklahoma their offense has played slightly better, and they're a little more battle-tested being in a tougher conference. So I guess I'm going to go with Oklahoma, but that could go either way, and I'm not too confident about it. So yeah, let's move on. Okay, next we have the 5-12 matchup in the West, which is between Creighton and UC Santa Barbara. Now, as a Southern Californian, there might be some bias to pick UCSB, and this is a popular upset pick because UCSB has played really well recently. Creighton has not played as well as they did in the beginning of the season, and they got absolutely beaten down by Georgetown in the Big East tournament final. So they're not playing as well as they once were. UCSB is hot. They're 23-4. This is a popular upset pick, and for good reason. I'm going with UCSB. The Gauchos will win against Creighton and pull off the 12-5 upset. Okay, next game, we have Virginia and Ohio, the 4 versus 13. Now, Virginia always seems to have a great defense, and in years past, yeah, they always have a great defense. Tony Bennett does a great job of getting that team to play really good defense and elite defense, but the difference between this team and the team that won the championship in the most recent March Madness, which was 2 years ago, but technically they're defending champs, that team was really good offensively, but sometimes this year they've really struggled offensively, and they did have a break with COVID. They did have to withdraw from the ACC tournament, so who knows how they respond there, and yeah, their offense struggles sometimes. Ohio, on the other hand, they won the MAC tournament, and they have a lot of momentum. They've been hot recently, of course, winning the conference tournament, getting that automatic bid, and they have a much better offense than Virginia, surprisingly. They rank, like, I think the top 15 in points per game. So I'm going to go with a bold pick. What's a tournament without some upsets? I'm picking Ohio to beat Virginia, and we're going to have a 12-13 matchup in the second round. Of course, I could be wrong. I'm just being a little bold here, but, you know, I think Ohio, they're hot right now, and Virginia sometimes struggles to score, so who knows what version of Virginia we'll see. Now, we have number 6 USC versus number 11 Wichita State, and Drake, the winner of that game, will face USC. Now, I said in my potential Cinderella video that I posted yesterday that I'm very high on USC. I think Evan Mobley is one of the best players in the country. He will be a top draft pick this year, and they have really good size. They rebound really well. They get a lot of blocks, and they're overall just a very good team and a dangerous team. So I think they'll definitely win no matter who they play. All right, Kansas and Eastern Washington. So I was actually looking for the stats of this game, and I found that Eastern Washington actually has a really good offense. And from what I thought, yeah, I thought that like Kansas would comfortably win this game, but I think it's going to be a close game. And I looked at a lot of the 14 seeds and their stats and stuff, and they're actually all somewhat dangerous. I think this will be a good game. Kansas is a very balanced team, but they did have a COVID pause, so maybe that makes them a little more vulnerable. I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be a good game, but I think Kansas will still win. But Eastern Washington is dangerous. You know, it's not like a cakewalk or anything. So, all right, next game, Oregon and VCU. This game is very interesting because VCU does a very good job of defending. Oregon's a really good offensive team. And yeah, so it's really just great offense versus great defense. But the reason why I'm going with Oregon is because they have been to the Final Four more recently than VCU. Yeah, VCU got there once in 2011. Oregon got there in 2017, I believe. Their coach, Dana Altman's still there from the Final Four. They have a bunch of upperclassmen on their roster, and VCU's offense really struggles to score sometimes. So I'm going to go with Oregon, but that's a really good first-round game. Next game, Iowa versus Grand Canyon. Now, this is very interesting because Grand Canyon, I think, got a little underseeded. I don't think they should be a 15 because they're actually pretty good. They're a very good offensive team, but I think Iowa, because they have probably the best player in the entire country in center Luka Garza. He's terrific. He probably will win the Wooden Award for National Player of the Year. Best player in the entire country this year, I think. And they have 2 great guards, great shooting team, great overall offense. And yeah, I think that's going to be way too much for Grand Canyon to handle. But yeah, so I think Iowa's going to win that matchup. All right, let's see. Should we go down to the East? Yeah, let's go down to the East first. Okay, Michigan versus the winner of Mount St. Mary's and Texas Southern. Now, this is very interesting because a lot of people are talking about how vulnerable Michigan is because one of their best players in Isaiah Livers is hurt. And so that makes them a little vulnerable, but I don't think in the first round it'll be any trouble against the winner of this game. They're still a very good team even without him. I don't think that should be a problem for them. And then, okay, so now we have LSU and St. Bonnie's. Hang on one sec. I just wanted to see if I had... Yeah, okay, yeah. Michigan's also, yeah, they're a very balanced team, both offensively and defensively. They have a very good shot at winning that first game. I don't really think that should give them any trouble. And again, like, I know a 16 seed has won before. UMBC won 3 years ago. We used to think it was impossible, but still, it's still so unbelievably rare that it's not worth the risk to pick a 16 seed, in my opinion. Nothing's impossible, but I just don't see it happening in any of these games. I don't think any 1 seed is vulnerable enough to lose to a 16, but you know, who knows? But I just wouldn't pick them. Okay, LSU against St. Bonaventure. This is a really good game. LSU has one of the best offenses in the entire country. They're great offensively. I think they're like top 5 in offense. They have several really good players, including freshman Cameron Thomas, who averages almost 23 points per game as a freshman. Like I said, he's a shooting guard, and if he gets hot, he can take LSU a long way, and I have them actually as one of my Cinderella teams. St. Bonaventure is pretty balanced on offense and defense, but LSU's offense, I think, is too much for St. Bonnie's to handle. Their defense is good, but I don't think they can contain LSU, so I think LSU will win a very close game. Okay, Colorado and Georgetown. Now, Georgetown was the story of all the conference tournaments. They won the Big East Conference Tournament in very surprising fashion. Like, they went on an absolute Cinderella run that no one saw coming. I think they were 9-12 going to the conference tournament. They were the 8th seed in the Big East, but somehow, some way, they won 4 in a row and got the auto bid as a 13-12 12 seed. And coached by Patrick Ewing, they have a lot of momentum. But Colorado is very, very good. They're very balanced, and they have a lot of great players. McKinley Wright's one of the best guards in the entire country. They're very good on offense. They have a very solid defense. However, they didn't finish the year well. I'm sure they aren't happy about losing in the Pac-12 championship game to Oregon State. So I'm going to ride the team with more momentum, and that is Georgetown. I think their Cinderella run continues, but Colorado State's still very good, but I just think the momentum goes a long way here. Georgetown's statistics don't really do them justice. They're just, sometimes when you come into the tournament really hot, it can really help you. So sometimes riding the hot hand's the right thing to do. Now, Florida State against UNC Greensboro, 4 versus 13. Florida State is very balanced. They have great size. They're a great rebounding team. They have a veteran coach in Leonard Hamilton who's been there and done that. They've gone far before. UNC Greensboro is very good. They won their conference tournament and they can be dangerous, but I just think that it's not a great matchup for them because also they have one player who, what was his name? I think I wrote his name down. Hang on. What was his name? I think it's like Isaiah Wright. I could be wrong, but they have this one player who averages almost 20 points per game, but no one else averages double digits. So I think that they're pretty predictable. Florida State's going to scheme well. They're mature. I don't see them losing to UNC Greensboro. So yeah, I think they're going to advance. And then now we have BYU against the winner of Michigan State and UCLA. I think Michigan State's the better team than UCLA. I think they'll win the first 4 games, but assuming they win, I think they'll beat BYU only because BYU, they're a great offensive team, really great offensive team, but their defense struggles at times, and I think they're a little overseeded. Like they have, hang on, I think they lost all 3 times. Yeah, they lost obviously all 3 times to Gonzaga this year because Gonzaga hasn't lost. And just to let you guys know, these statistics really help. If you want to look, you press the info button, like it shows opponents' points per game versus top 25 BPI ranked conference points per game. Yeah, BYU's a very good offensive team, but they struggle defensively. Michigan State's battle tested. They've beaten 3 top 5 teams this year. I think if they win, they can pull off the upset. They have a veteran coach with Tom Izzo, knows what he's doing. I think if UCLA wins, they have a chance too, so I might consider picking them as well. But assuming this is Michigan State, I think they can beat BYU and, yeah, pull off the mini upset, even though an 11-6 is kind of like a 50-50 most times. Okay, Texas and Abilene Christian. Now, Texas, hang on, what did I say about, yeah, Texas is actually a little inconsistent. They're a very balanced team. They have a very good offense and very good defense, but sometimes they're capable of even going all the way to the Final Four, but sometimes they're a little inconsistent as well, and they'll lose to teams that they shouldn't lose to, but they do have a good size. They have a really good coach in Shaka Smart, who's been to the Final Four when he took VCU there it was about 10 years ago, but they're one of the biggest boom or bust teams in the entire tournament, but they can boom, definitely. They can go really far. I think Abilene Christian had a very, very solid season. I think they were 23-4. They were the best team in the Southland Conference all year, but I don't think it'll be enough to handle Texas. I think Texas will win that first round matchup. All right, UConn and Maryland. Now, UConn has a very solid offense and a great defense. They have one of the best players in the country in James Bouknight. He's really good. Maryland, on the other hand, you know, they have some big wins, but they don't really stand out in anything. They're solid defensively, solid offensively, but they're not great in either. And I just think UConn will be too much for them. I just don't see anything about Maryland that stands out and tells me that they're better than UConn. So I'm going to have UConn winning that 7-10 matchup. Next, we have Alabama and Iona. Alabama, the 2 seed. I think this might be the highest seed they've ever had. They're a great offensive team, a very good defensive team. They're very balanced. Yeah, they definitely have an elite offense, very good defense. And Rick Pitino for Iona, you know, he's done a great job of getting them to the tournament. They won their conference tournament in that small mid-major conference where only one team wins, but I don't think they stand a chance to get against Alabama. I think their offense is too much to handle, and they're going to play pretty good defense on Iona. But kudos to Rick Pitino for getting them there, but they will not last long in the tournament. All right, now we're going to move to the South region. We have Baylor and Hartford, 1 versus 16. Listen, I'm not going to pick a 1. I'm not going to pick a 16 to win, at least not this year, at least not until multiple other 16 seeds win in the future. I don't feel comfortable enough picking a 16, and Baylor is so good offensively, especially. They're good defensively too, but they might have the best backcourt in all of college basketball. They have, what's his name, Davion Mitchell. They have Jordan Butler, who probably is the Big 12 player of the year this year, and they have, who was the other guard? They had, wait, hang on, I'll get him. I'll get his name. What was his name? What was it? Oh yeah, Maceo Teague. There you go. Maceo Teague. I'm sorry. I stumbled there. But yeah, they have a really good backcourt, really good offense. Maybe after Gonzaga, the second best offense, and that gives them a legitimate chance to win the whole thing. So Baylor definitely beating Hartford. Next, we have North Carolina, Wisconsin. Now, again, all these 8-9 matchups are really tough to predict. Either one could definitely win. Both teams are pretty balanced, but North Carolina is a significantly better rebounding team. They've been playing better than Wisconsin. Wisconsin was in the AP poll. They ranked in the top 25 for most of the season, but they fell out towards the end. They did not finish the year well. So I'm going to go with North Carolina just because they're playing better and they rebound better. So Villanova and Winthrop. Now, this is interesting because Jay Wright and Villanova, they always seem to find a way to go far into the tournament or just do well. They never really disappoint, or not, at least not recently. Ever since they won their first of 2 national championships in the last like 4 years, they won in 2016, they never seem to disappoint. But here's the thing. They don't have one of their best players in Colin Gillespie, who I think tore his MCL. He's out for the season, unfortunately. Justin Moore, is that what his name? Yeah, Justin Moore is another great player on their team. And I think he is questionable to play. Even if he plays, they're still missing one of their best players. Winthrop, on the other hand, I think was 22-1. They had a really good record. They're a very good scoring team, and they have this really good point guard, and who gets like 60. It's like a walking triple double. And like, I think Chandler Vaudrin is his name, and he's really good. Winthrop's playing a lot better than Villanova. Villanova's trending down. They have injuries, so I'm gonna go with yet another 12/5 upset. I think Winthrop is going to pull it out over Villanova, despite Villanova being such a great program with great coaching. I don't think they can overcome that injury to Gillespie. I think he matters so much to that team. North Texas, Purdue. North Texas is a very good defensive team. They're pretty solid offensively, and Purdue is pretty balanced all around, but Purdue has incredible size. They have a guy who's 7'4" on the roster. I think they have another guy who's like 7 feet tall. They always play big with their size. They're a very good offensive team. I think that's going to be too much for North Texas to handle. Purdue moves on. All right, Texas Tech, Utah State, 6 versus 11. Now, Texas Tech, as always, with Chris Beard being their coach, they defend very, very well. They're a great, elite defensive team. Now, here's the thing, though. Their offense has struggled a little bit this year, and they're kind of similar to Utah State. Both these teams kind of play similar. They're defensive-minded first with decent offenses, but sometimes inconsistent. But here's the difference in the game. Texas Tech doesn't have great size, but Utah State, their best player probably, his name's Neemias Queta, and he's like 7 feet tall, long arms, and I think he's going to be the difference in this game. Texas Tech hasn't played that well recently, and Utah State just has, I think, a lot of size, and I think Queta's going to matter a lot down the in the middle. And I think his size and Utah State's inside presence is going to be a little too much for Texas Tech. Their offense struggles sometimes, so I'm going to go with this. This is a mini upset because I think a lot of people have Texas Tech, but I'm going to go with Utah State. I really like the way that their team's built. I think they're underrated. They don't have a lot of big names, but they're pretty underrated. They're good. I think they'll beat Texas Tech. All right, Arkansas Colgate. Now, this game is going to be one of the highest scoring games, if not maybe the highest scoring game in the entire first round. Both teams are super elite offensively. I think they're both like top 10 in scoring, and it's really close. But I think what gives Arkansas, like Colgate, if they played like a different 3 seed, I might consider them pulling off the upset. I think this will be a somewhat close game, but I think because Arkansas, they have really good coaching in Eric Musselman. They've been playing really well recently, and Moses Moody is a top draft pick in the NBA. So I'm going to go with Arkansas. But, Colgate, they can be dangerous. If they get hot and Arkansas is not making their shots, that can be an upset. All right, Florida, Virginia Tech. This one I battled back and forth with. Neither of these teams have been playing that well recently. Florida's a little better offensively, but not much better. Both teams are defensive-minded. Both teams have been very inconsistent this season. And this is also the first game, I believe, of the round of 64. I really went back and forth. This is like a coin flip, but I'm going to go with Florida only because they have a point guard, or he's like a combo guard, Trey Mann, who's played very well recently. I think he's the best player in this entire game, and I think he'll be the difference, but it's very close. It could really go either way. All right, guys. Now we have Ohio State and Oral Roberts. Now, Ohio State has been great all season. They struggled a little bit towards the end of the regular season, but they kind of got their stride back in the Big Ten tournament. They got to the finals before losing to Illinois. And here's the thing. Okay, it's not March Madness without a little craziness. Oral Roberts, a lot of you don't know this, probably don't know this, but I'm going to tell you something. Oral Roberts is not just a good offensive team. Oral Roberts is a great offensive team. They average like 82 points per game. They're on a 6-game winning streak, okay? They make the most threes per game in the entire country. They might be the best three-point shooting team in the entire country, and they have the leading scorer in the entire country. His name's Max Asmus. He averages like 24 to 25 points per game. They're a great offensive team. So if you want a big-time upset, Oral Roberts has a chance, guys. And here's the thing. It's not March Madness without a little craziness. I'm going to go with Oral Roberts. This is my biggest upset of the first round. Ohio State's very good, and I could be totally wrong, but Oral Roberts has what it takes to be a Cinderella team. They're a 15 seed, but they're a great offensive team with a great point guard, the best scorer in the country. They're hot. They've won 6 in a row. Guys, this is a dangerous matchup for any. I think 15's too low of a seed for them. I think they deserve to be higher. Oral Roberts is sneaky good, and that's my big upset. Don't necessarily follow what I'm saying, but I'm just saying, people don't really talk about them, but they're dangerous. They could, oh my God, if they get hot, and they've been hot recently, watch out. They could definitely pull it off in the first round. I think they will. I have a weird feeling. I have a strange feeling. All right. Illinois, Drexel, we don't even need to talk about it. Illinois and Gonzaga, I think, are the two best teams in this whole tournament. Illinois is coming off winning the Big Ten title. They're super hot. They have two, like, all NCAA first teamers, I think, in Ayo Dosunmu and Kofi Cockburn. Kofi Cockburn's a big center in the paint. He's a great interior presence, great defender, great rebounder, great inside scorer. Ayo Dosunmu, after Luka Garza and maybe Cade Cunningham, might be one of the 3 or 4 best players in the entire country. No doubt there. I'm sorry, Drexel. I just don't see it happening. All right, Loyola Chicago and Georgia Tech. Now, this one's a little unfortunate because both teams are really good. Both teams are playing really well. Both teams are coming off winning their conference tournament. I think it's unfair that this is a first-round matchup. I think these two teams both deserve to be higher seeded than what they are now, and let alone the fact that they're gonna one of them's gonna have to probably play Illinois in the second round. I just think it's unfair. I wish that they were in the other side of the bracket, maybe in Michigan's bracket. This is too good to be a first-round matchup. I mean, it's a great first-round matchup. It's one of the best games of the first round, but it's unfortunate that these two teams are playing each other because I think they both deserve to be seeded higher. But Loyola Chicago might be the best defensive team in the entire country. They're gonna have Sister Jean there. You know, it's gonna be like I think they have a little bit more momentum. And I just think that their defense is just super elite. They have players who have been there from that who are still there from that Final Four team. Cameron Krutwig is their best player, and he's the center. He was the freshman on that Final Four team. He was a big contributor. Now he's a senior, leads the team in most statistical categories. It's going to be a close game. Georgia Tech defends very well. They're balanced, but I think Loyola Chicago wins to set up a matchup of the Battle of Illinois in the second round. All right, Tennessee, Oregon State. Now, Tennessee is trending down, unfortunately. They have not played as well as they did in the beginning of the season, and one of their best players, John Fulkerson, probably or has a good chance of not playing in the first round. And now Oregon State is a bid stealer, just like Georgetown. They surprisingly won the Pac-12 conference tournament. They're coming in hot. So just like with Georgetown, I'm going to ride the momentum. I'm going to pick Oregon State to win this game, even because I think Tennessee's trending down. They have a significant injury. Oregon State's just playing their best ball of the season right now, so why not? So I went with all 4 number 12s winning, but you know, last year 3 out of 4 number 12s won, so I don't think it's that crazy. Okay, moving on. Oklahoma State and Liberty. Now, this is a really good game Liberty should be higher than a 13, to be honest with you. Liberty's really good. They pulled off an upset last year as a 12 seed over Mississippi State. Similar team this year. They're 23-5. They've been playing really well, and I think that, yeah, they're dangerous. They're coming in hot. I think that, yeah, they won 12 in a row. And they're going to be a handful for Oklahoma State. This is going to be a close game, but what makes Oklahoma State great? They have a great offense, and they have one of the best players in the country, like I mentioned, Cade Cunningham, probably going to be the first pick in the NBA draft. I think he's going to be too much for Liberty to handle, but look out for Liberty, though. They are dangerous. All right, San Diego State and Syracuse. Now, I talked about in my Cinderella video, both of these teams have Cinderella potential, which is unfortunate that they have to face each other in the first round, and I'm especially really high on San Diego State. They're a great defensive team, like top 10 in points allowed against our opponents' points allowed, and they're a very solid offensive team. They have 2 really good seniors, Matt Mitchell, Jordan Shackle. They're a good 3-point shooting team. They're physical, and they're coming in really hot. I think they've won like 12 or 14 games in a row. I think I mentioned in my last, but I think it was 12, but I could be wrong. You can correct me on that. They're coming in hot, though. Won the conference tournament in the Mountain West, won the regular season title. They were clearly the best team in that conference. So San Diego State's going to win, but it's unfortunate because Syracuse is always sneaky. I don't think they deserve to play them in the first round, but, you know, it is what it is. West Virginia, Morehead State. Now, normally, most of Bob Huggins' teams are defensive-oriented. They're defensive-minded. This team's not. This team is more of an offensive team with a decent defense, but it struggles at times, but they're very good offensively. Morehead State is kind of more of a defensive team, so they're kind of reverse in the way that they play, but I just don't think Morehead State has enough of an elite defense to stop West Virginia. So West Virginia, I think, is going to win that game. All right. All right, this next game, Clemson and Rutgers, is another toss-up. Now, this might be one of the lowest scoring games in the first round because neither team's really that good offensively. Both of these teams are defensive-minded, so I really went back and forth on this. Neither team's playing particularly well right now. They played a lot better in the beginning of the season. Both teams have similar makeup in terms of how they play, so it was really tough for me, but here's the reason why I'm going with Rutgers. Rutgers hasn't been in the tournament for like 30 years, and kind of like when Northwestern made the tournament a couple years ago, they won their first game, and I think sheerly just on like determination to finally snap their long drought and just like, I mean, it's just been a long drought for them since they won a tournament game, let alone even make it. I think they're going to be maybe a little more hungry than Clemson, so I'm going to pick them, but it could really go either way. I don't know. All right, Houston and Cleveland State. Houston's very balanced. They're a very good offensive team. Scoring-wise, they can rebound really well. They get a lot of assists. They defend well. They're just all around super solid. Cleveland State, I mean, like Houston pretty much does everything better than Cleveland State. Cleveland State doesn't really stand out. It would take a miracle for Cleveland State to pull it off, so Houston's going to win that. All right, guys, moving on to the second round. Wow, we're already like 25 minutes in. Sorry about this. But yeah, you know, maybe I'll put some timestamps in the description about each round. We'll see how it goes. All right, guys, we're going to move on to the second round now. So we have Gonzaga against Oklahoma to start off the second round. Now, it doesn't matter who wins between Oklahoma and Missouri. I really highly doubt that they'll beat Gonzaga. Gonzaga is just too good offensively, and neither of those teams are playing particularly well or have done anything to convince me that they will beat Gonzaga in the second round. All right, UCSB and Ohio. Now, this is a 12 versus 13. I really hope this happens because this would be really cool. It's always interesting when you get like a 12 versus 13. Yeah, but I think that... yeah, it's going to be a close game. Both teams are very good offensively, but UCSB has just been so hot, and they're underrated. People don't talk about them because they're in a small conference. They're a very good team. I could definitely see them getting to the Sweet 16, and that's what I'm going to predict them to do, get to the Sweet 16. All right, USC and Kansas. Now, this was tough because this is where things get a little interesting. USC has Evan Mobley, and I think that's going to take them a long way. He's better than anyone on Kansas. Kansas had a COVID pause. They're very balanced, though, but they don't have that one player that's just, like, going to carry them. And I don't know. I just feel like Kansas sometimes is prone to upsets. I think USC is sneaky good. I'm going to go with USC to win this. I know it may be a surprise, but this is going to be an upset in my opinion. They're very good inside and rebounding, and they have a very good high draft, NBA draft pick with a lot of talent who's going to be difficult to guard, like I said in my potential Cinderella video. You guys can check that out. I really like them. Oregon and Iowa, this is going to be a battle of two really good offenses, but similar with Grand Canyon in the previous round, I just don't think Oregon has an answer for Luka Garza and their shooters around them, Jordan Bohannon, Joe Wieskamp. It's going to be a close game, high-scoring game, entertaining game, but I think Iowa wins and moves on to the Sweet 16. All right, moving down to Michigan and LSU. All right, Michigan, like I said, they're vulnerable without Isaiah Livers. I don't think they're getting to the Final Four, so I might as well have them going out right now in the second round to LSU, who has a very good elite offense. If they've been hot recently, if they continue their hot streak, they might be able to even make a run further than we all expect. LSU, I think, will upset Michigan because they're playing very well right now, and Isaiah Livers is so important to Michigan, and he's not playing. So I think they will win. All right, LSU moves on. Georgetown and Florida State. This is very interesting, but I think this is where Florida State's experience, and they're just overall more balanced offensively and defensively. I think this is where Georgetown's amazing ride comes to an end. I think Florida State's going to move on to the Sweet 16. All right, the winner of Michigan State and UCLA against Texas. If it's Michigan State, they have a chance to beat Texas. Like I said, Texas has been inconsistent, boom or bust, but... all right, because I don't know for sure that Michigan State, okay, I'm just going to go with Texas. Even if Michigan State wins, I think Texas, you know, I think they'll be able to beat either one of these teams. They have a very good team. They're very balanced. Shaka Smart's a good coach. I don't think they'll lose to Michigan State or UCLA, but, you know, Michigan State always has some sneaky run up their sleeves, but I just don't think it's going to happen. UConn and Alabama. Alabama's elite offensively, very solid defensively. UConn's really good too, but I just don't think UConn's defense is going to be able to contain Alabama. I think Alabama moves on to the Sweet 16. All right, we're moving up here to Baylor, North Carolina. North Carolina has underachieved this year. I mean, well, I don't know how high they're expected. They're lower seeded than they normally are. They're always an elite program, seemingly. But Baylor's offense is just, those guards are just too good for North Carolina to contain. Despite their very good rebounding, Baylor just, I mean, they just have so much firepower. I don't see North Carolina beating them. I think they're going to move on. Winthrop and Purdue. Okay, this is going to be interesting because Winthrop could win this game. I could see it happening. They're very good offensively. They're coming in hot. Purdue, you know, they've been pretty consistent all year. They haven't really boomed, like gone on a super big win streak. They also haven't been that cold this year. They've just been consistently very good. So, but because they have really great size and they just find a way to score and they're balanced, I'm going to go with Purdue. But, you know, Winthrop, you know, they might have a little run in them, but I'm just not going to pick them. All right, Arkansas, Utah State. Arkansas, like I said, has Moses Moody, top draft pick. Their offense is playing very well. Very good defensive team as well. They're a great shooting team. You know, Eric Musselman's a great coach. They've been playing really well recently. Utah State's run comes to an end against Arkansas. They move on. Florida and Oral Roberts. Oh boy. Okay, I really would like to go with Oral Roberts, but it's already bold enough that I'm picking them to beat Ohio State. And if they can beat Ohio State, they could beat Florida, kind of like Florida Gulf Coast got to a Sweet 16 as a 15 seed. But I just don't see it happening. I really think it would be cool that it does, but I mean, we're just getting a little crazy here. I'm just gonna go with Florida. But you know, what a story that would be though, if Oral Roberts advanced past. You know what? Actually, you know what? Screw it. I'm going with Oral Roberts. I'm thinking about this. If they can beat Ohio State, they should have momentum and they can get to the Sweet 16. Oral Roberts is a really good offensive team and they can catch fire. They're dangerous, guys. Don't copy what I'm doing unless you really feel it in your gut too, but they're dangerous. And even if they lose to Ohio State, it'll be a close game. They won't get blown out. That's a really tough matchup for Ohio State. And, you know, who knows if it'll happen, but it's my bracket. I just do whatever I want, you know? It's my bracket. It's not your bracket. I can do whatever I want. Yeah, I like Oral Roberts a lot. I like them a lot. Okay, moving on to Illinois and Loyola Chicago. Now again, Loyola Chicago shouldn't have to play Illinois in the second round. I think they deserve to be higher than an 8th seed. But in the Battle of Illinois, this should be a great game. Loyola Chicago always seems to have, well, they have Cinderella potential because they once were a Cinderella, and they might even have a better team than in 3 years ago. They might have a better team. They're a higher seed. I think they're underseeded, but I don't think they can beat Illinois. I think Illinois is too good. They're going to beat Loyola Chicago. Now we have Oregon State and Oklahoma State. Oregon State, similar to Georgetown, their run, their hot streak, their momentum has taken them this far already, but they're starting to play the really elite teams, and I just don't think that hot streak can overcome their lack of, you know, whatever it is that the reason why they were not very good in their conference in the regular season. Their momentum can't just take them over elite teams like this. I think the better teams are going to win at this point, usually. So I think Oklahoma State's going to win. They're not going to be able to stop Cade Cunningham. All right, San Diego State and West Virginia. Now, I said San Diego State's a potential Cinderella team, and West Virginia struggled a little bit down the stretch, so I'm going to go with an upset. San Diego State beats West Virginia. I think West Virginia's defense isn't that good. San Diego State's defense is very elite, and I think San Diego State's offense is better than West Virginia's defense, if that makes any sense. And they're hotter coming in. I like San Diego State a lot, guys. All right, Rutgers, Houston. Rutgers, you know, it was nice that they got to the tournament, beating Clemson potentially, but their run comes to an end against Houston. Houston's too balanced, too good for Rutgers. They're going to move on to the Sweet 16. So, guys, now we're going to go back up to our Sweet 16. We're going to decide who's going to get to the Elite 8. All right, Gonzaga, UCSB. What a story it would be if UCSB won, but I don't think I'm bold enough to pick them. Gonzaga's too good. Their offense is great. This is where UCSB's great run comes to an end. Gonzaga's moving on to the Elite 8. All right, USC and Iowa. What a matchup this would be between Luka Garza and Evan Mobley. Probably the two best centers in the entire country, I would say. Man, this is tough. Who would I want to go with? I think USC is very interesting here because, okay, Iowa's boom or bust. They're kind of like Texas. They have a really good offense, and if they get hot, they can go all the way, and they can ride Luka Garza's shoulders and go all the way. And, you know, maybe I'm going to create a second bracket. Maybe I'll have Iowa, you know, going to the Elite 8 in that bracket. But I think I always want to have like one Cinderella team, and USC might be the Cinderella team in this bracket. Evan Mobley's just too, it's going to be a great matchup against Luka Garza, but USC just rebounds a little better than Iowa, I believe. They're a better defensive team. I like USC, guys. I think USC is going to pull off an upset here, and I have them going to the Elite 8. Wow, USC, man. They could make some noise for sure. All right, LSU, Florida State. LSU's offense is great, but Florida State's very balanced, very experienced. Like I said, they're just a very solid team. I think LSU is not going to be able to defend Florida State. Florida State's a much better defensive team than LSU, and their offense is very good too. They have an elite offense. They can definitely keep up with LSU, and therefore I think they will win and advance to the Elite 8. All right, Texas, Alabama. This is a really good game. Texas is inconsistent. They're boom or bust. They definitely have Final Four potential, but I think Alabama's been more consistent all year long. Their offense is better, and I don't think Texas has a good enough defense to stop what Alabama can do offensively. I have Alabama moving on to the Elite 8. Okay, going back up to Baylor, Purdue. You know, Purdue's been very good, but I don't think Purdue's good enough to make a deep run. I think the Sweet 16 is really their ceiling this year. Last year's team, you know, they had Final Four potential, or last tournament's team with Carson Edwards as a 3 seed. They got to the Elite 8. This team's not quite as good. Baylor is terrific. They've been great all year long. Only lost 2 times this year. Absolutely amazing offense, great backcourt. They're going to beat Purdue, and I don't even know if it's going to be that close of a game. They're definitely better than Purdue. All right. Arkansas and Oral Roberts. Okay, I like Oral Roberts, but this is where it comes to an end. Arkansas is really good. They've been playing well again. Like I said, Moses Moody's a great player. Eric Musselman's a great coach. They have a very good offense, very balanced team, good defensively. They can shoot. They can do a little bit of everything. They're playing their best ball of the season, I think, right now. They're going to move on to face Baylor in the Elite Eight. Okay, now we have our final region to decide the Elite Eight. We have Illinois against Oklahoma State. What a game this would be. And first of all, Illinois played, I think after Gonzaga, yeah, they should be I think they're ranked as the second best #1 seed, or they should be if they weren't. Their bracket is very difficult. I mean, why? They might have to face Loyola Chicago, or either Loyola Chicago or Georgia Tech, both tough matchups. Then Oklahoma State, who some people like to even maybe contend for a championship. I feel bad for Illinois. I think they deserve a better, path. I think they'll still beat Oklahoma State, but it's going to be a very close game, very good game. Oklahoma State's very dangerous with Cade Cunningham. But I think Illinois is just playing better than any other team in the country right now. Or they're playing like one of the best teams. They've been playing like one of the best teams in the country for the second half of the year, I would say. So, the entire second half. All right, Houston, San Diego State. Okay, if I did a second bracket, okay, you know what? Do I want to do this? I think Houston is very good, very solid all around, but they don't have something that tells me that they're good enough to go really far. Like, they're just solid all around. This is the best team they've maybe ever had. Well, since like Olajuwon those days. Kelvin Sampson's did a great job as a coach, but San Diego State's hot. They're a great defensive team. I think they can lock down and win a low-scoring, tightly contested, very entertaining game against Houston. San Diego State's dangerous, guys, I'm telling you. All right, so here we have our Elite Eight. This is kind of wild. We have a 1-6 matchup, a 1-3 matchup, a 4-8, and a 1-4. That's not that crazy. I mean, come on. I mean, it's not going to be, we have a 1-3, a 1-4, a 4-8, and yeah, like I said, 1-6. Okay, so yeah. All right, Gonzaga, USC. Okay, here's the thing. What a great game this would be. Now, there's two things about Gonzaga that I have to say that is probably a weakness of theirs. Their two biggest weaknesses is they're a fantastic offensive team, probably the best in the entire country, like I said, but they don't have a great interior defense. So I think, and USC has Evan Mobley, who's a center, and I don't see anyone on Gonzaga being able to guard him. And also, Gonzaga being undefeated is playing with a lot of pressure. I think the last 4 teams that were undefeated didn't end up winning the tournament, and I don't know. I just think that they're playing. It's going to be. I think losing would have actually been beneficial to Gonzaga because they would have learned how to lose and to respond to that. I feel like they're playing with a lot of pressure. We saw Kentucky with Karl Anthony Towns just 6 years ago, 2015. They couldn't win the whole thing. They lost in the Final Four. Before that, the year before, Wichita State was undefeated. I think the last 4 teams that were undefeated didn't win the whole thing. The last team to do it, I think, was Indiana in the 70s. So it's really tough to win the whole thing or go all the way as an undefeated team. So this is where I get a little crazy because I think every bracket should have like one Cinderella. I don't like people who go buy the book and go all 1s and then, or maybe 2 1s and 2 2s. I like to have like one team that's like a Cinderella team. So you know what? USC, very good rebounding team. Very balanced offensively and defensively. They have Evan Mobley, who's one of the best players in the country. USC beats Gonzaga and goes to the Final Four. I know it's very bold, guys. Or at least in this bracket, they're a Final Four team. All right, Florida State and LSU. Or no, I'm sorry. I was looking at that. LSU, Florida State, LSU is my Elite Eight, but it's really Alabama, Florida State. My bad. This is going to be a really good game. This is a region where things could get crazy because Michigan is probably the worst 1 seed without Isaiah Livers. So I'm going to go with Florida State over Alabama because I think they're much better. I think they're a better defensive team than Alabama. They shoot well, and I think Alabama sometimes gets a little too reliant on their 3-point shot. So sometimes they can go cold, and I think Florida State, with Leonard Hamilton, they've been to the Elite Eight. They've gone far into the tournament as a lower kind of seed. I think as a 9 seed they got to the Elite Eight. So you know what? They're going to top that this year. They're going to get to the Final Four. I think they have more experience as a program, and they're going to get to the Final Four to face USC. All right, Illinois, San Diego State. I really like San Diego State, but Illinois is just too good right now. I don't think San Diego State's going to be able to stop Kofi Cockburn, Ayo Dosunmu. Their defense might be great, but it's not going to be able to keep up with Illinois, and their elite offense is much better than San Diego State's. So I have Illinois going to the Final Four to face... I'm going to have them face Baylor because, again, Baylor's offense is just so good. They're very balanced. They just have so much firepower, and Arkansas definitely has a chance to get to the Final Four, but I think Baylor has more firepower. So here this sets up our Final Four, guys. This is a weird one. Okay, on the right side, we kind of go by the book. We have 2 1s. We have Baylor, Illinois. On the left side, we have, we have 1 Cinderella and USC. I would say they're a Cinderella. 5 seed and below is starting to be like a Cinderella, but Florida State's not really a Cinderella because Michigan's vulnerable in this region. So most people probably have either Texas, Alabama or Florida State getting to the Final Four coming out of this region. So it's not. So I have two things that are by the book. One that's somewhat logical, and then one Cinderella team that's not too crazy. I mean, it's not like I'm picking a 14 seed or something. You know, there's always seems to be a Cinderella team, so this isn't too crazy, but it's a little unorthodox. You may not expect to see this on most brackets. A 1-1 matchup, then a 6-4. Let's start with USC Florida State. I really like USC, but Florida State, you know, they've already, you know, I think Florida State's the better team. I'm going to have them get to the national championship game. But again, Florida State's a really good offensive and defensive team, very balanced. But the reason why they're going to get all the way here is because they're not going to really have to face a really tough competition. I mean, they could face Gonzaga, but I'm saying the way I have my bracket set up, they're going to play LSU as an 8th seed and then USC. So it's not like they're going through ones. I just think by the fact that they don't really have as difficult of a path as most 4 seeds would have all the way here, I think they're going to get to the national championship game to face the winner of Baylor, Illinois. Both teams are really good, but Illinois has that size inside that I don't think Baylor's going to be able to stop with Kofi Cockburn. I think Illinois wins to set up a final between Illinois and Florida State. This is okay, a lot of people probably have Illinois in their final, but I bet a lot of people don't have Florida State. But I think it could definitely happen with the circumstances and the path that Florida State has. They could definitely get here. So, who wins between Florida State and Illinois? It's going to be a good game, but Illinois has a very good defense, great offense, very balanced. They have great size inside. They have two, like I said, 2 super elite players, great size inside, Kofi Cockburn. I would assume who might be the best player outside of Luka Garza and Cade Cunningham in the entire country. Illinois, I mean, it just seems like they're here. They've never won the championship. They were the runner-up in 2005, but in 2021, Illinois wins the whole tournament. And I'm probably going to make a second bracket as well, but in this bracket at least, Illinois reigns supreme. And let's see, what should the score be, final score be? I'm going to say, it's going to be close. I'm going to say 71-65. Yeah, I want to enter this thing. What if I win? Who knows? All right, guys, that's going to be for my first. Okay, well, actually, we'll just do that later. Okay. All right, so yeah, Illinois is going to win in this bracket that we're making for this video. Like I said, guys, that's going to be it for this video, but share your predictions. I'd love to hear your comments, your opinions in the comments below. This is going to be a great tournament, and I've really missed it. So yeah, that's going to be it. And I'm looking forward to Friday, or Thursday is when the first 4 starts, but the real thing, the round of 64, looking forward to it on Friday, which is when it starts. Make sure to fill out your brackets. Hopefully you guys join my group so we can go at it. You know, it should be really fun. Sorry about this video being really long. I didn't expect it to be, but you know, when I start talking, it just goes on forever. Yeah, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you love sports, this channel's for you. I recommend you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I really appreciate and love all your support. Guys, March Madness is finally here. Really looking forward to it. I'll talk to you guys later. Time for March, baby. Fill out your brackets, okay? Don't forget.